So we're going to go on, we can see we've got all of our sonnax packages and pouches. Quick reference guide. These do work quite well. I've done several. So let us get on with it. I don't have a whole lot of time, so we're hoping we're going to get through this pretty quick. So the first thing, we're going to replace the original main pressure regulator valve. So she's located right there. So first things first, got to pull springage out, or the keeper out. So boost valve and sleeve. Come on, Betty. And there she is. Of course, note the way that it goes in. What I like to do, obviously do a comparo, but I always wash and blow the bores out as we go. Other thing I like to do, get our flute a little closer. Do the old dipperoo of fluid. Of course, Sonnax makes a lot of things, a lot of different products for different applications. Seems like that one might be a little bit on the sticky side, which I have a trick for that. Let's see here. Boost valve, sleeve, bim, and always taking. They put like a trans gel in there, and the valves get a little on the sticky side, so I like to make sure it is free, you know, before it goes together. We got to push it into the spot where the keeper goes. Man, beautiful thing. Yep, she'll be fine. Next in line, stuff aside, the converter, I'm sorry, the bypass clutch control sleeve and plunger. Now this does require to drill through, and I'll show you. I'll explain something else to you here about this. So we take the drill bit they give you, got our handy dandy little cordless action going on here. You got to get the valve out of it. What you're going to do, little bitty tiny hole, may or may not be able to see there, but it's in there, but you got to drill through it out the other side. So this gets a little bit tedious. I do it real slow. Make sure you're in line. Like that. Obviously, wash her off and flush her. And you want to make sure there's no debris, which there's not. So, put our valve in. Make sure she is good. And they tell you to draw a line across because you want the little holes that are in there now at 3 and 6. So we're going to scribe a line across. Bam. The original we're going to remove. And usually you can push the back side of the valve and it'll walk her out without an issue. And they want you to use their orange spring. So, just double checking here. Alrighty. Put the orange spring in. Put this in so we know our holes are at 3 and 9, which is simple enough. Drop our keeper in. Man, she is good. And they tell you with the same drill bit, there are 2 holes that you're supposed to drill out with the enclosed bit. And this bit, I believe, is 0.62. I'm trying to remember. Alright, they show you on the quick guide which holes we're talking about. So, we be talking about, my experience is these are already to the size. That one damn sure is, I can tell you that right now. So they're pointing at that one. It's way bigger already. We're fine there. And hole A, they're referring to, let's see, that one. You see where it is in relation to the plate. And that already looks, nope, that one is a little bit on the small side. So there we go. On the newer units, it's already there. I've done several of them. So, there's your holes to drill in the plate. Alright, so now we can move on to the 2, 3, and 3/4 shift valve end plugs, which, before we get ahead of ourselves here, let's make sure this is free. Yep. this here. Push on the valve, she pops right out. They give you extra O-rings for these, which is handy. So the bigger O-ring obviously goes on the bigger plug, and the O-ring goes in. Those are free. The other one goes right down here where the clip is. These can be a bear sometimes to, bam, there we go. Keep popping it, they come out. Our spring back, we take our smaller O-ring, put on this bad boy. These can sometimes be a bear. They tend to roll the edge of the valve body from the clip, you know, retaining it, and back and forth it's moving, trying to. Alrighty, there's the plugs. Let's see. Alright, our little retainer. Damn it. This valve is known to wear the bore, and Sonnax does make an oversized valve for it. Supposed to place this bad boy in. That screwdriver ain't big enough. All right, that one goes. You're supposed to put the original in the back. The sonnax goes in the front, and I will tell you, these are tight. But gentle persuasion. Make sure the spring ain't caught. Good to go there. This is obviously just a quick run through of how all this stuff goes in. Let me see here, where are we at? We don't have that. We don't need to do that. Alright, I think valve body wise on the updates, that's all we got. Now this was a good valve body, as I said. They just work a lot better. Our little doohickey there. The better check balls. There's 8 of these, and I marked them. So we got one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, one there. And we got these pretty close together. And there's that little filter. We want to make sure goes in there, which is right here. It just kind of goes sideways. More run through here. Make sure we are copacetic. That one doesn't do any. Alright. Okey-dokey. Yeah, I feel good about her. So, let's see, do I have... No. This thing might sit for a little bit. Normally I would do trainee fluid or something, but we'll be copacetic with that. Now on these valve body gaskets, there are differences depending on a year, and I'm pretty sure, make sure I'm not lying to myself, should be this bad boy. So what we want to watch and see, when you line it up, this is one thing to note, and no holes blocked. So the other gasket, it's got a different hole there, it's got an open hole there, there. There's a lot of variations, just different year. So, we put that bad boy down. And if you're in doubt, you can compare, like where you have a casting open there, well, even the original gasket had it, so, you know, good in the hood. Our 2 lineup pins and bolts. We want on here to make sure this is copacetic. You could put the other thick plate on the back side of this first. I'm not particularly worried about it. Of course, where you drill a hole or open a hole, you want to make sure there's no burrs. like we have on that one, which is why I have my little jeweler's files here. But you can do what you got to do to clean them up a little bit. Beautiful. Alrighty. The big one, tracks go down. It only goes one way, so it's kind of hard to screw that up. Although I'm sure somebody's tried. I want to say these all torque on like 89 to something. I'll look it up real quick. Look. I've rarely seen these valve bodies super screwed up. Rarely. Our last plate. Yep. What I do, I torque these first. Then put the valve body on, then torque everything else. That's how Abby does it. They're saying 106 inch-pounds on the valve body bolts and the plate bolts. Scrix. So that's what we're going to do. And Fords and a lot of new units, you got to torque all this stuff. You will have an issue, believe me. And I got a trick on the top plate I will show. A lot of people will road test it, then re-torque. I don't do that. I let it sit and re-torque it over. You know, this thing doesn't have to be put in anytime soon. So what I do is re-torque it over a day or so, and they do just fine. Bottom gasket is pretty universal. So let's see, we're going to move this over and we're going to have our dealio there. So we're good, everything's on. Sometimes it is a good idea to just put some sticky stuff, keep this gasket from rolling or falling and tearing and every other form of things that ain't Christian. So let's see. You obviously have to make sure to index the manual valve. Sure our gasket ain't trying to go stupid on us. Alrighty, so you can remove the guide pin bolts. This gasket is so thick it will shrink. They tell you to retorque after driving. I've never had an issue. I let it sit and I double check it several times. And it's possible that I've just gotten extremely lucky, which, you know, whatever. I'll go with it. So there's that. And all the short little tins go in. Ah, that's why you don't hold them on your hand at once. I'm trying to wrap the majority of this up. Considering this one that goes. Okay. So grab all of our other valve body retaining bolts. Alright, some of these are longer than the others, so the shorts go to the outside, long go on the inside. So this is our EPC retainer. This one shares with that. Put your lockup solenoid in. Oh, figured I put in the wrong one. There you go. One goes there. The last 10 goes there. have the other one for the detent there. Now what I do, start in the center, and I do the 8s first. Normally I hit them all in the plate, just easier to remember. Then I move out to the outside of the valve body. Then I do the 10s on the plate and the one on the solenoid pack, or the solenoids over here. And this gasket is thick, so what I do is I run over it and let it sit, and I'll come back later and double check all this, because it will compress.